in the dusty alleys of every lamppost, and British soldiers were seen more frequently in the streets. When Colonel Weatherby returned days later for a fitting, Elias couldn't help but probe gently. "Colonel," he began, smoothing the red wool across the officer's shoulders, "the new button design, it's quite distinct. May I ask why the hawk?" Weatherby gave him a measured glance. "The lion is strength, Mr. Brune, but the hawk sees what others cannot. Precision, focus, strategy." His voice lowered to a near whisper. "The future of warfare will not be brute strength. It will be who can see, and act, first." With that cryptic remark, Weatherby left, but his words stayed like a thorn in Elias's thoughts. Over the following weeks, more odd orders came in. Officers from various regiments began requesting specific button alterations: hawks, owls, daggers, stars, each insignia accompanied by whispered instructions, secrecy oaths, and payments far beyond what such tailoring warranted. Each set of buttons contained a unique engraving on the back, always in the same strange code. Elias began to catalog them, sketching each symbol and recording the sequences in a small leather-bound notebook. His curiosity bloomed into obsession. He spent nights poring over maps, books on codes, and military history, slowly unraveling the patterns. What emerged was astonishing: a network of covert communications embedded in the most overlooked element of military dress, the button. The buttons were more than decorative. They were part of a clandestine intelligence network, the button line, a secret corps of tailors, soldiers, and informants who passed messages encoded in brass and bone. Initiated during the War of Spanish Succession, the network had been dormant until the rising global tensions called it back into action. Each regiment had a code, each button a key. Only a select few knew the full breadth of its design. When Elias discovered that his own father had once been involved in the button line, a mix of pride and dread flooded him. He unraveled the button line from within, replacing codes with false signals, misleading British commanders, and causing chaos on the front lines. When a battalion of Highlanders was ambushed near the Rhine due to a corrupted button cipher, Elias knew the war had entered a deadlier phase. In the weeks that followed, he worked with Celeste and a growing inner circle of trusted operatives, tailors, quartermasters, and even pickpockets, to root out the saboteurs. The countermeasures were clever. Elias introduced a new design: buttons embedded with slivers of colored silk visible only under candlelight. To the unknowing, they looked like ordinary adornments. But to those trained, the hues told who could be trusted. By 1760, Elias had risen to become the unofficial head of the button line. Still operating out of his modest shop, he oversaw a covert communications network stretching from the drawing rooms of London to the icy forts of Nova Scotia. And yet, for all his accomplishments, he remained a tailor, needling thread through cloth, whispering to his apprentices about the importance of precision, of loyalty, of noticing the small things. For as he had learned, wars were not only won on the field, but also in the seams of a coat, and the glint of a button that could turn the tide of history. By the winter of 1761, the streets of London were rimmed with frost, and Brune and Stitch had become more than just a tailor's shop. To the unknowing, it remained a humble place for fine uniforms and civilian coats. But for those within the button line, it was a command post, an archive, an encryption room, and sometimes, a last refuge. Elias rarely slept. He and Celeste had deciphered more than a dozen enemy codes, thwarted 3 planned assassinations of British officers, and rerouted valuable intelligence to protect British colonies. Yet the work was never done. Every courier carried risk. Every brass button might contain a lie. And every tailor might be a spy. That spring, Elias began